Uttar Pradesh, and he has been out there in the field for a long time, covering Uttar Pradesh at length and breadth, mostly in the eastern part of Uttar Pradesh. So, welcome, Pearson. We are very glad to have you here at Outlook and talk about your experience in regard to what did you see on the ground in Uttar Pradesh, and how has been the result reflected in terms of your observation on the ground. So we'll talk about all this, Pearson. But before that, we would want to know that as a journalist from Tamil Nadu, you came all the way to Uttar Pradesh to cover the elections. So what were the motivations? I mean, do you think there is an audience in Tamil Nadu for what's happening in Uttar Pradesh? People are interested in Uttar Pradesh?
Uh, Basically, I always wanted to be a travel journalist, travel to various interior places and report there and to tell stories, mainly to Tamil audience. So I thought there is always a need for exclusive stories and ground reporting stories, whereas people of Tamil Nadu should know. And particularly, I'm doing that in my regional language, both visually and also in my writings. Me, along with my friend, we both are travel. We both always wanted to be a travel writers and also travel journalists. We got this place, UP. People of Tamil Nadu are very much, they wanted to know more about UP, mainly because of two reasons. Mainly because of Modi, Prime Minister Modi and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Because I don't know how much people of other states do discuss about central politics and about Yogi Modi. But in Tamil Nadu, politics is centered around this. Any news regarding Modi or Yogi, people wanted to read about it. People wanted to know what exactly is happening. So
basically, what you're saying is that you have an audience for what's happening in Uttar Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, right? Right. And do you also think it has to do with some conversations going on in the media in certain circles that Stalin was supposed to meet Akhilesh Yadav when they wanted to talk about larger opposition unity against BJP ahead of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections? Has this also to do something with your reporting, and you thought that UP might interest people in your state because of this?
Not because of that, because that talks are between the head of the parties, and those talks are not that much a debate with the common people of Tamil Nadu. Mostly, they are also very much interested about knowing about Uttar Pradesh because many of the workers, many of the people as workers have migrated to Tamil Nadu in the past 10 years. So it has always been a fascination for Tamil Nadu people to know about UP. So I think Akhilesh Yadav and Stalin, all those talks are in the party and in the some sort of political class arena. So I think Akhilesh Yadav also invited Stalin ji for extending support, and since he's also he claims himself to be against BJP, and also he's also for forming a third alliance against BJP national level. There are many such things, but I don't know what happened, why that couldn't become a reality. But
so basically what you're saying is that your primary interest in covering the election was that because people in Tamil Nadu had an interest in the Pradesh elections and they were keenly looking forward to it, mostly because of the fact that Prime Minister Modi was involved in campaigning, and then Yogi was also involved in campaigning, so they're seen as a figure in back in your state, right?
Yes.
Okay, Pearson. And how was your experience, Pearson? Can you tell me about your experience on the ground, and how was a Tamilian journalist you felt being in Uttar Pradesh, and how was the response you were receiving from people out there in Uttar Pradesh?
Actually, I would say that every travel would break our prejudices in many ways. Actually, that has did so to me, because as a person coming from Tamil Nadu, me myself had many prejudices on people from Hindi belt, and that particularly from Uttar Pradesh belt. But what happened? That was shattered in my 40 or 45 days long travel in and around UP, both rural and urban. People were really helpful. Despite of the language barrier I had. I can understand Hindi, but at the same time, despite of the language barrier I had, they welcomed me. They came to my level. They just split all those sentences into small words. They helped me throughout, even chai wala, bijli auto rickshaw man, small vendors. particularly women, they helped me a lot. For that, I will be forever grateful to the common workers or people of Uttar Pradesh. I would thank them for breaking my prejudices. Secondly,
So,
it would be very hard for me as a journalist in Tamil Nadu to get a bite from the public, whereas in UP, people were very vocal. People were very vocal. They themselves volunteered to come and give bites to me. Even if I don't want any bites, since I would have taken many bites from that particular constituency. But for them, I have taken many bites. In that particular bites, I have got some very immaculate opinions from them. That too from a very, very common people, working class people, common people. So as a journalist, here it was very easy to approach people. Whereas in Tamil Nadu, it is comparatively quite harder. But people are approachable here, accessible. They can talk to you about various things. So that is a basic difference I felt as a journalist in ground between Tamil Nadu and Uttar Pradesh.
so very, very glad that you were received so well in Uttar Pradesh and North India. Uh, and you were here for 45 days, right? You
Yes.
were traveling for 45 days. So how do you see the results, Pearson? And do you think that you anticipated these results while being on the ground, and you had felt the undercurrent of what reflected in the results?
As I said, I would able to talk to as many as common people as possible. Especially,
Mm-hmm.
we were staying, and I was traveling in rural part of Uttar Pradesh, and
Mm-hmm.
also many places of places like Hathras. I was able to see many people in places like Mathura rural parts, and even places like Hathras, Sadabad, which is also the nearest place to Hathras. I was able to have conversation in many people. I would say that I would just keep that place as example. I would able to find few keywords from them, few
Mm-hmm.
keywords from them, whereas you can sum it up to wherever place I traveled. They would say, when I ask them, what criteria you will vote for a party, or whom you are voting for, they will say, अच्छी काम है, अच्छी काम है, भाजपा अच्छी काम है, I like them, गुंडागर्दी का खत्म हो गया. That is what most of them used to tell me, that we have
Right.
received
That
we have
that's an
received.
interesting. That's an interesting point that you're making, Pearson. That Gundagardi khatam ho gaya, and that's something that I also felt on the ground, that people were actually happy with the fact that the crime in the state has reduced to some extent, and I think that also played a major role in what that reflected today in the results, right? So this is something that you have been hearing across your travel to Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, that has been a common word used by almost people who are supporting BJP. Almost people, either traditional BJP supporters or BJP supporters, they are going to vote for this time. They told me that BJP, under the BJP rule, Uttar Pradesh is peaceful, law and order is so good. This law and order thing, what was quite amazing for me as a person from Tamil Nadu, because we would be discussing about issues, free rations. For example, 50 years ago, free ration was in debate in Tamil Nadu. 50 years ago, even during
Right.
Annadurai time, people were discussing about free rations. In Tamil Nadu, 60 years, free rations and free schemes, it has been going around for 20-25 years. But in UP, I would also able to witness people talking about free rations. Most of the people were very happy with it at the same time. These were the common threats that I could get from common people. Even I was very skeptical that would these things reflect in the elections, or maybe people talking about unemployment, maybe people talking about 300 unit electricity free. These were very attractive for me as a person from Tamil Nadu, but um, it is really amazing for me to see the results. And also, as you said, uh, I would, me and my friend were also discussing with each other. We were able to anticipate it because these words are from common people. These words are from the auto rickshaw drivers and tea vendors, and these were from very common people.
Right, right, right. And where all did you get to travel, Pearson? And which parts of Uttar Pradesh? Did you also go to Western Uttar Pradesh, or you
Yes,
remain confined to
yes,
Eastern Uttar Pradesh?
yes. We traveled to Western Uttar Pradesh. We traveled to Western Uttar Pradesh. We went to Muzaffarnagar. Aligarh, Agra, Mathura.
Okay. And did you hear the same thing back in Western Uttar Pradesh, where pollings were mostly in first and second phases? So, did you also hear a similar narrative building up in Western Uttar Pradesh that crime has
Yes,
actually reduced during Yogi Adityanath's government?
yes, we would able to hear exactly these words. अच्छी काम है, गुंडागर्दियां खत्म हो गया. These were the common words that we were able to hear. But one important thing I would like to say, for example, I would say Mathura. We were able to travel inside Mathura, particularly Southern constituency. That is a constituency of Shrikant Sharma, sitting energy minister of Uttar Pradesh. People, we talked with common people. They were very much against him because it was said by the people themselves that he was not accessible to them. They were not able to meet. They were not able to meet him, and also his promise of clearing Yamuna River has not fulfilled in the past 5 years. We would able to sense an anti-incumbency against their MLAs. But what they said is that, but we will vote for Yogi Modi. They also mentioned this word, double engine sarkar. Everywhere they told double engine sarkar. They told
That's again interesting. That's an again interesting point that you're making. That despite the fact that there was considerable anti-incumbency on the ground, and one could feel that people are not very happy with their MLAs or local leaders, but the fact that Modi was involved in the campaign, Modi was involved in the campaign, and Yogi was involved in the campaign, and that played a very decisive role for BJP in these elections, right?
Yes. Anti-incumbency was against that MLAs. That is also case with places like Varanasi South. Many journalists, many senior journalists whom I have spoken personally, they told me that thousands and thousands of people are displaced. Thousands and thousands of people are displaced because of various, various development schemes that have been introduced in past 4 years. Maybe because of corridor that they have built.
Right.
But they were against Neelakant Tiwari, but they were not against Prime Minister Modi, or they were not against this. They told that despite of everything, we are going to vote for them. This is second and third thing. I would just give me a time. This pattern we were able to see in Ayodhya. Same thing they told about Ayodhya. I'm talking about Ayodhya Southern constituency. Same thing they told about Ved Prakash Gupta. They told that he is not accessible, and also development projects around Ayodhya. For example, beautification of Ayodhya. They're extending roads so that the livelihoods of thousands and thousands of shopkeepers are going to be shattered. So there was even a talk that Yogi Adityanath might contest in Ayodhya because of these various reasons. He was not able. He couldn't contest there. But Samajwadi Party's Pawan Pandey, people were telling me that he is very accessible. We can meet him whenever we want. And even during the COVID times, he gave us food to us. And these kind of things we were able to hear from people. But they told me that yet we are going to vote for Modi and we are going to vote for Yogi. That was the common thing that we would able to find in almost West, East, Purvanchal region and in these places.
So the sentiments that started generating around 2014 around Modi and his charisma and the fact that he was able to connect with people, he has retained those sentiments even now. That is what you're suggesting. And yes. Modi continues to be a huge figure in these elections and continues to play around his charisma, and people have actually voted for BJP because of the fact that he was actively involved in the campaign, right?
Yes, and also other name you should add. Yogi Adityanath.
Yogi Adityanath. So there was charisma of both of these leaders, right?
Both the people. And also this word, bulldozer was very,
double engine ki sarkar.
Yes, and, double engine sarkar. And also this word bulldozer, you could see in every campaigns and every rallies. People were even carrying small toys of bulldozer in every campaigns and rallies.
Right, right. Just before we end this conversation, Pearson, I would like to go back to Western Uttar Pradesh again. I mean, there's a lot of analysis of data that has to be done yet, and to understand where, who voted where, who voted how, and where. But something that I want to understand from you is that I mean, there were a lot of talks about farmers' unity and farmers and Muslims' unity, Jats and Muslim unity in Western Uttar Pradesh, especially in pockets that have been affected by farmers' protests in Uttar Pradesh. Did you get to see that unity in reality, or do you think that these were rhetorics floating around on social media or and news websites?
Yes, I would say that, in many places, even the places that we traveled, Aligarh, Mathura, and whatever the places it is said to be as farmers' active movement happened. Only in Muzaffarnagar we would able to see that some farmer sections were really unhappy with the center's farm laws, and particularly Muzaffarnagar. After that riot happened, 2013 incident happened. I was able to talk with many of the youngsters in Kalapur. Many of the youngsters told me that either they are going with Sapa or with OYZ. So our talks were like that. But my friend traveled to Lakhimpur Keri. He shared me
Right.
a view with me. He told me that workers who are working in land owning Sikh community farmers, they said that they are going to vote for BJP. So land owning community in Lakhimpur Keri, they said they are going to vote for Sapa or Congress. But workers or daily wage workers working in the agriculture farm, they said that they are going to vote for BJP. So I think
That's again
this
a very
particular,
interest. That's again a very yeah. That's again a very interesting point that you're making. That farmers with some land holdings were against BJP, but then common workers who actually worked on those lands wanted to vote for BJP, right?
yes, I think this
Okay.
example would answer your question in larger sense.
Right. And before we end this, one last question: how has been the mood in Lucknow today? What do you see on the streets of Lucknow right now?
Uh, I would say that I went to four places today.
Mm-hmm.
First, early morning, I went to BJP office. BJP office was almost open to everyone, media people, common man, party workers. Then I traveled to Ambedkar University where polling counting is going on. I would able to see that Samajwadi members were huge and abundant there. But as result comes, as the announcement started, as time goes by, Samajwadi Party workers actually they disappeared or dispersed from that place after a while. Thirdly, I went to Samajwadi Party office. Almost Samajwadi Party office was deserted, but workers there told me wait till 3:30. We are sure that we are going to win 300 seats. I can understand that party workers are always optimistic and hopeful about their leader. Yes, and now I am in Congress party. It is the same situation. I would able to see very few volunteers and workers here. It is almost closed. But BJP office, a friend was there. He was telling me he was able to witness a very big bulldozer rallying in the streets of Vidhan Sabha. So that is what my observation was.
Wow! That must be an interesting spectacle. So yeah, I mean, Congress had a terribly bad day today, not just in UP, in other states too. But Samajwadi Party in that term did not have a really bad day. I mean, they improved from their tally what they had in the last election, a considerable improvement, and also in terms of vote share. This was the highest vote share so far they have
Yes,
received in the state.
true,
Right.
true.
Right. I mean, they could not form the government and did not get the numbers to form the government, but they had some other reasons to be cheerful about. And I hope that you really enjoyed your coverage during these elections in Uttar Pradesh, and wish that you continue to get the same. Reception from people in northern part of India in
Yes,
your travels in future. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being
thank you,
with us. Yeah, this was a really insightful conversation. Thank you so much again.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.